Hello, everyone. Welcome to What's Your Career Talk series by Link Your Purpose. I am your host, Tony Ann Hudson, and to kickstart this series, we have our very own, the person who started all of this. There's no better way to start but with our very own founder and executive director of Young Women and Men of Purpose, and our CEO of Link Your Purpose Careers, Lanisia Rhoden. Hi, Lanisia.
Hi, Tonian. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So, how are you doing though? How are you feeling? Are you nervous for this interview? Excited?
I'm doing well. I'm actually quite excited
Okay.
to be here to talk about, my career and to really inform and share with other, especially young persons who want to venture into the career fields that I'm in. So I'm really happy to be here.
Okay. Okay. That's great. All right. Well, you already know my questions,
Do I?
but I guess I'll start off by asking you, what's your career and what does it entail? If you can explain to us as vividly but as easy to understand as possible, what do you do? What is it?
All right, so the truth is, I really have three careers, but I think the ones that I'm focused on today are nonprofit manager and social entrepreneur. And the third one would I'm also a business consultant. But as a nonprofit manager, I founded the nonprofit organization Young Women and Men of Purpose. And I also have been managing the operations of the nonprofit for several years in terms of leading the team, developing different programs and projects that are contributing to the development of the society, impacting lives, seeking grant funding, and just partnering with, other individuals and organizations and other stakeholders to ensure that we're contributing to the development of the society. As a social entrepreneur, this is basically a mixture of nonprofit management with business. And as a social entrepreneur, I lead our social enterprise, which is Link Your Purpose. It's an online career development platform, it's a business that is focused on helping young people to achieve their career goals, and so we sell the services within Link Your Purpose. But whenever the organization generates revenues, the profits, they do not go into my pocket. They go back into the organization to develop the organization. And also the profits go into the non organization, Young Women and Men of Purpose, so that we can continue to carry out the programs and the projects that we have been carrying out over the years. So, as the social entrepreneur, I use business principles to lead the social enterprise, but bearing in mind our mission and ensuring that at all times we're creating impact, we're impacting lives, we're developing the society, and it's where the profit goes. That is the key thing in terms of, carrying out my role as a social entrepreneur.
And that does sound like a handful. Um, I love how confident you are and how easy it is for you to really describe your activities. But if you could tell us in your own words, what qualities would you say one needs to have to be suited for such a role, a non-profit manager and social entrepreneur?
So definitely leadership is key. There are many persons, especially young persons, who they want to create impact, you want to create change. So it means that especially if you want to start your own organization or your own initiative, you have to ensure that you are a leader. So developing your leadership skills. And you can develop your leadership skills if you're in high school right now by engaging in different extracurricular activities, different clubs, taking leadership roles on your assignments in class. So leadership is key. Another thing is that you have to be someone who is driven by impact and social change. And that may sound like a big thing, but what that really means is you're somebody who You want to create change in the society. You want to contribute to the positive development of society. You see a problem and you want to solve the problem. You see someone in need and you want to help them. So being compassionate, being driven, by a mission, wanting to create change, wanting to develop a cause. Another thing I would say is definitely, um, especially on the social entrepreneur side of things, business acumen, business skills. So you have to think like a business owner. If you look at many traditional companies that exist, right? The leaders or the entrepreneurs, they're business savvy. So you know how to start a business, you know how to sell, you know how to market, you know how to grow an organization, and you understand basic finances. Like these things are key in running a social enterprise. There are other core skills that are needed also. Strong interpersonal skills. How do you relate to and deal with people, right? That is very important. Another skill I would say is team building, and linking back to leadership. Can you work with others? Can you actually influence others to join your team? Especially on the nonprofit side, where you may start out in a voluntary mode initially. How do you get other persons to become a part of your organization, to pursue, to help you to execute the mission and the vision of the organization? So those things are key. And I think another one that I must mention is you have to be someone who is persistent. Things will not always go according to plan. You will not always have all the resources that you need. You will not always get the partnerships and the people that you need. How persistent are you when things do not go according to plan? Are you someone who is willing to continue even, when things seem as though they're going nowhere? When you get no's, will you still continue to push forward? Those are core skills. And the last one that I will mention is you have to be a risk taker, willing to take risks. The risk to start your nonprofit or to take charge of one, if it is that you are not starting your own. And as a social entrepreneur, again, it's the risk. The truth is that in both sectors, nonprofit management as well as the social enterprise sector, you do not know if your organization or your business will be successful or if it's going to fail. But you have to take that risk. You won't know until you take the risk. So take risk, not just any risk, but calculated risk. Weigh the pros and the cons. And once you have these core skills, of course, there are many others, self confidence, so many other skills. But I would say those are some of the core ones that if you have those, you can actually get into either of these fields.
Okay, I think the biggest takeaway from what you just said is you need to have a natural passion for what you're doing, because
Yes,
that's what's gonna fuel all of the failures and the successes and working with other persons. So I
yes.
think I think that's very important to note. But let's get into the nitty gritty of it, because we have a few young persons who are in the middle of making a decision as it relates to where they go next, how they can become like you. So if you could just explain to those young brilliant minds who are watching right now, what steps do they need to take to become a non-profit manager or a social entrepreneur? Do I need to go to university to study for this, and how many years does it take?
Okay, so the thing that I must highlight first is that there's no straight line to any career, including being a nonprofit manager or a social entrepreneur. The truth is, when I was in high school, I wanted to go into the hospitality industry. So all the core subjects that I did were geared towards hospitality, right? In fact, my first degree is in food service management from the University of Technology in Jamaica. So I was headed on that path, and I basically happened upon this career. But how I ended up here, it is that I've always been passionate about youth development and community service. And so even though I was in the hospitality industry, I wanted to create change. I wanted to make a difference. I always wanted to give back. And so for me, I started giving back before even studying anything related to nonprofit management or social entrepreneurship. One of the key things that helped me though in this career It's that while I was doing my first degree, even though it was in food service management, I did a course in entrepreneurship. And that really opened my eyes, and I learned so much about starting my own business, running my own business. And I feel like that course that I did really helps me along this journey of being able to start an organization, being able to start a business to get to this point. Okay, so I would say for any young person who want to venture into this, you are getting something that I didn't have and many other persons didn't have. So if I knew then that I wanted to go into the field of, community development or development work in general, I would have pursued, subjects or courses, maybe something in nonprofit management. There are courses in universities in nonprofit management. In fact, I later did that a few years ago after being in the field for about 10 years. That is when I was able to actually pursue a postgraduate certificate in nonprofit management. So you can look out for short courses, especially now that so many things are online. Look out for short courses in nonprofit management. If you're really serious about this field, there are many courses and programs in development studies. In fact, there are programs specifically in nonprofit management at universities in Jamaica, in the region, and also internationally. There are also programs and courses in entrepreneurship. So the main universities here in Jamaica offers degrees in entrepreneurship, and you can also choose your specialty. So if you want to focus on general business management or something else, that might also be an option. So those are the things that I would say to do. The other core subjects and so forth that you need to have are definitely, mathematics, because your financial data and financial management will become important in any career. Of course, excellent communication skills. So your English language is critical, very important. If you can choose a business option in high school, then that is also important. So there are so many business subjects. There is certificate in business management. There is principles of accounts or principles of business. If you can choose one of those business subjects as a business background, very important. Another core subject that I would recommend for you is a language. A language is very important. You do not only position yourself to get a job or to work for organizations or companies in any region or in any country, but also if you're developing your own organization, you put yourself in a position where you're actually able to scale your organization to different regions in different countries because you are able to communicate in another language. So, in a nutshell, I would say those are the core subjects and subject areas that you should focus on. And of course, you choose your subjects in high school and then look at programs that are offered by different colleges or universities or any tertiary institutions that you can actually apply for.
Okay, so it's safe to say that you know a second language.
I do. I actually in high school I studied French and Spanish. I studied French longer than Spanish, and then I also did French at university, and I actually ended up living in France for a year. So that really improved my French.
Okay. What is sortie?
Leave, exit.
The only word I know in French. Okay, so moving on to the next question. What I'd love to know now, I've heard about it and it does sound great. But if there's one more thing you could tell me to just sell me on this career, if there's one more thing you could tell me that I'll just change my mind about whatever I'm planning to do and just do what you're doing, what would that be? In a sense, what do you love about what you do? And what I'd also love to know is what's a typical day like for you?
For me, I've always been a very compassionate person and always wanting to help people. And I really developed that trait, I think, from my mom. And so if you are someone who you are a problem solver, you want to help persons who are, whether we like to use the word less fortunate, but someone who needs help, you know, um, you want to make a difference. You see a problem within your community, within the country, within your parish, and you really want to make a difference, then I would say that this could be the career for you. If you choose this career, however, you cannot only want to make a difference, you have to ensure that you have the right skills, right? Those business skills, those problem solving skills, the leadership skills in order to use in this career to make the difference that you want to make. You're able to partner with people, you're able to collaborate, you're able to raise funds, right? These are very important skills that are needed. But if you are a change maker, want to make a difference, I would say that this is a career for you. It also gives you the opportunity to meet people, not just within your community, not just within your country, but globally. This career, the truth is, for me, when I was younger, like a little girl, my ideal thing was I wanted to travel the world. And I thought that I was going to travel the world through hospitality and tourism. But later I realized that no, that's not going to happen. And the truth is, I have traveled the world by working as a nonprofit manager and as a social entrepreneur, having gone to over 16 countries because of the career that I've been in. So it could also be one of the drivers or the motivation
I'm sold. I'm
behind
sold. I'm sold.
behind the career.
Okay. All right. A day to
What was the
day.
second part of the question?
Your day to day. What's a day to day like for you?
Okay. So a typical day in my field. Wow, that's a difficult one. So for me, it depends on the stage that you're at in your career. So as a nonprofit manager and a social entrepreneur where I'm leading a team, a typical day looks like, for me, is responding to emails, also communicating with my team in terms of us planning whether it's the next project or speaking about implementing a project. Sometimes, or many days, I am developing a program, searching for grant funding, writing a proposal, right? These are some of the activities that I will carry out on a daily basis. And also we're at the stage in both organizations where we're growing, and so we're ensuring that structure is in place and systems are in place. So a lot of documentation and documenting happens on a daily basis. But generally, I would say in nonprofit management, it's about developing programs, writing proposals, executing and implementing the projects. And I like that part of the career because I get to interact with people. We work a lot with young people, so I get to interact a lot with the beneficiaries of the programs or the participants who are the persons who are participating in our different projects. So we engage a lot with young people. I get to meet so many persons right across Jamaica, across the region, on a daily basis, or when we have programs that are being implemented. But whereas that would be the activity that gets you to meet others, don't forget that the administrative aspect of the career is critical and is as important.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lanisia. So, in the interest of time, where it's winding down and it's moving so fast, let me just ask you a few last questions. So, firstly, we've spoken about all the pretty things, and it sounds great. I want to travel to 16 different countries too. But with everything that's good, there is some challenge. And so, what I'd love for you to explain, other than the bulk of admin work that you have to do, are there any other challenges associated with being a nonprofit manager slash social entrepreneur?
Yes, so there are challenges. The challenges again depend on the stage that you're at in the organization, especially if you're leading your own organization. So there is what we call the growing or feeding pains, just as persons will experience a childhood experience.
Yeah.
So in the initial stages, in the early days, it can be a very lonely journey, in the beginning, where when you have that idea in your head in terms of what you want to do, you may not necessarily have the persons to share the ideas with. You may have persons to share it with, but then you may not have the funding to start what you want or to execute things the way you want it to go. So that can be a challenge, getting the right team on board, and not just attracting and getting the team, but also keeping them, retaining the team. Because, again, especially if funding and financing is a challenge for you, then this might impact the team that you're able to attract and the team that you're able to um, to maintain, right, within the organization. Other challenges. So one of the things that I faced, especially as as a leader and a founder of an organization, is what we call founders block. And so, if you are thinking about going in the career field of starting your own organization or starting your own business, you may experience founders block. And founders block is simply something like, in the beginning, you are, in the Jamaican parlance, we say head cook and bottle washer, where you're doing everything. And you have to be prepared for that. If you want to start your own business, if you want to start your own organization, know that at some point you may be everything in the business, everything in the organization. But as the organization grows, you find that it may become difficult for you to let go, for you to delegate, for you to give other persons a chance to, contribute, share their ideas, and also for you to implement their ideas. And so that is one of the challenges that as founders, we have to go past that stage. Right now, I can say that I'm comfortable, but I was not always at this place. I'm now comfortable, where I want to delegate, I want to hand over, I want other persons to take on the work. But you may find that it's something that you have to work through. You have to be educating yourself. You have to be watching the videos. You have to be learning in order to get to this point. But I think for the most part, those are the challenges. And then another challenge that I would say quickly is, sometimes we are hard on ourselves as leaders, and you may feel like you're not growing, that we're stuck. But the truth is, just take a look back at what you've done, at your track record, at the impact that you've created, and use that as a motivator to help you to understand that, you have done a lot, you have done good work, and you can continue on that, trajectory, or continue with what you're doing, and not to be too hard on yourself and wanting to give up before you've completed what you are called to do.
Okay, thank you. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, how much would you recommend this career? First number that comes to mind.
10. And I say 10 because it is a career that is fulfilling. If
Okay.
you, again, are passionate about creating impact, creating change, just making a difference in the society, making a difference in the life of someone, it is the career that you want to go into.
Okay. And are there any books I can read to gain more knowledge on being a nonprofit manager or social entrepreneur? Are there any books that you've read that you think would have helped you and you'd recommend those books to me?
So yes, there are many books. The type of books that I usually read. So outside of studying, so I didn't mention earlier, but I also have a master's in innovation management and entrepreneurship, and so that also helps me as a social entrepreneur and, leading an organization. But outside of the academic books, what I would say, there are many books that you can actually read to help to develop yourself as a leader. So I read a lot of leadership books. I read a lot of leadership books from John Maxwell. I watch a lot of his videos, because you want to develop yourself as a leader. Understand? There also, I tend to read a lot of entrepreneurship books too. So there's one called, Scaling, which is very important if you want to learn how to start a business, especially starting using what we call the lean model, starting with nothing basically, and growing, but growing in a very systematic way, and growing in a way that will really cause you to expand the organization, and to be profitable, and also to create impact. I also use a lot of organizational management books. So, how to be organized, planning. Planning is key for me, If you want to be successful as a leader, if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, then planning is also very important, and just your ability to organize and to create structure. So I would say generally those are some of the books that I read. Books that will help me to change my mindset, books that will help me to develop a positive mindset, and books that will help me to grow as a leader, and also books that are focused on just running a successful companies. There's so many of them.
All right. Thank you so much, Lanisia. Uh, we're strapped for time. It seems we'll need to have a part two with you. But for the final question, to end on a calm and inspirational note, can I say that? Do you have any advice for a student who might be watching right now, who may have listened to this interview and their interest is piqued? Is there anything you'd love to say to them, whatever it is?
So definitely, Tonian. So what I would say, if you are watching and you are interested in a career in nonprofit management, or you're interested in starting your own social enterprise, I would say go for it. Know that you have some information about the sector, about what happens in the career, then you can actually put yourself in a better position to learn about it and to go straight into it. All right. As I said, it's never a straight line. So you may actually do something else before getting there. But with the information and knowledge that you have, go for it. Choose the subjects in school that will help you in high school, that will help you to become a rounded person, to basically go into this field that you're interested in. And if you're at the stage where you're now looking for colleges and universities that you can go to, then I would say, look into the development programs, look into the programs in entrepreneurship or social entrepreneurship. And while you're doing that, I would say what is critical also is get some experience. So volunteer with an organization. So while you're getting the academic qualifications in high school or in college or in university, the real work and the real test to whether or not you can survive in this career field is when you go into the field. So volunteer with a nonprofit organization, do your internship with a nonprofit organization, and test the waters to see if this is really something that you want to do and that you're passionate about. There are so many of them. We're always looking for volunteers. So there is the chance for you to get the real experience, and get a mentor, understudy somebody who is already in the field, right? Learn from them. And this can really help you in this career and to be successful.
And we do have mentors available on the Link Your Purpose platform, yourself included.
Yes.
So for those persons watching who would love to find out more, have more questions, just join us on our platform at linkyourpurposecareers.com, and we can take it from there. There's so much to learn, and the journey is only just beginning. Thank you so much, Lanisia, for sitting with us and giving us all the wealth of info you've delivered to us this evening. We know you want a part two, and we'll give it to you. Fine, we will. All right. So it was a pleasure having you. Thank you so much. And that's it. That's it for this episode of What's Your Career? Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, for joining us. It has truly been a great episode. See you for the next episode. Be sure to tune in. Bye bye.